leadershipmentor.com. In our time together this week, I'd like to share with you some thoughts about empowerment and creating a program of empowering your team members. Let's start by looking at a good definition of what empowerment actually is. Empowerment is the process of defining boundaries for your team members where they're encouraged to act and make decisions independent of real-time direction from you. And I've underlined some key areas there as far as the definition goes: defining boundaries, encouraged, and independent. And so let's take a look at a little bit deeper at what those look like. First of all, clearly defining boundaries. It's so key that before you ever begin this process that you define what range of action do my people have to act. You certainly can't just tell them to go out and say you have the ability to issue customer refunds, for example, and not define what that is. You're always going to have people that are going to go to the excess. You're going to have people that are not giving enough necessarily to make an impact. And so it's important that you do a lot of training around this, but you clearly define the boundaries or the range that they have to act upon. The other area, again, is to provide frequent support. And we talk a lot about coaching and providing feedback. In the process of creating an empowered team, it's key that during this process, you're very positive and supportive. And that means when someone does something well, that you recognize that and that you provide that praise in public. When they do something that's outside of the parameters that you've defined, it's important that they don't feel like their hand just got slapped, because what they're going to do is pull back and not want to act at all. So it's important that you encourage them to continue to feel empowered and to act on things, but again, within the parameters that you've defined. So coaching is such a key part of this, that providing that positive support on a regular basis. So you really have to be aware of what your team's doing real time, and then provide that coaching to get them to continue to do it and to feel truly empowered to act where you're defining them to do. And then finally, follow up with progress reports. Another key area for this is to define how are we going to measure if this whole empowerment process is even working. So an example of that might be first call resolution. If you're in a call center or a customer service organization, do customers have to call in frequently to get their issue resolved? And maybe what you do is you have a way of measuring first call resolution so they can identify an upset customer. They have a range that they can act upon and provide total resolution for the customer so that the customer doesn't have to call back several times to resolve it. So that would be a good key area or a metric that you would use to report on that progress. And you share that progress report with your team members. So again, clearly define the boundaries so they understand up front where they have the latitude to act. You provide very positive, frequent coaching to encourage them to fall within these guidelines. And then finally, we're measuring that, and we're providing that measurement or those reports back to the team so they can visually see, here's what's happening through this process of empowerment. So in summary, empowered people care more. And why do they care more? Well, they care more because they're part of the process. They understand that they are more in control of the outcome of that customer interaction, for example. So when we feel like we're in control of that and we're not just simply going off a script or very strict procedures, then we feel more a part of the solution, and you're going to see people will care more and feel more a part of the organization when that happens. Act immediately with feedback. So key that you're very involved in this process. And that's the great thing about this in creating an empowered team, is that once they're fully developed as a team, then this isn't really required. You can step back more, and that frequent feedback isn't really necessary. But in the early stages of this process, it's so key that you're very immediate with that feedback and that it's positive and supportive. And then finally, it allows you as a leader to lead versus manage. And what I mean by that is, in the middle of this empowerment process, you're going to have to manage that. And what that means is you're monitoring the behaviors, and then you're adjusting those behaviors through our coaching and feedback process. Later in the process, when your team is more mature and is really doing this empowerment process, that's where you can lead, where you can provide more coaching and training on career development and other areas, and you're not necessarily managing the day-to-day behavior as nearly as much as you would be in the early stages. So that's empowerment. I want to encourage you to look more into this whole process, and I want to encourage you to look at this as an awesome way to get your team to be more engaged, maybe as an opportunity for you to develop and grow your team. And it's also a great way for you as a leader to start to look at some other opportunities as far as what you do day to day once you have this empowered team. So I hope you found that helpful, and I hope you have a great day.